First thing we're going to write down is standard form. Standard form, and what is it? Standard form we did a standard form for a quadratic we learned this year. Again, this is quadratic functions. Quadratic functions. Next year you will learn how to graph different types of functions. Cubic functions, square root functions, sideways parabolas, all of it. All right, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, other one is the vertex form. This is the one we like when we're factoring. And it looks like this. Y equals a times the quantity of x minus h squared plus k. All right, so taking a look here. Do you see that they both have an a? The a could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. Or it even could be negative. Do you guys remember what the negative, the only thing the negative tells us is what about your parabola? Whether it's opening up or down. All right. The value of a, or the absolute value of a, tells you what? Do you remember what it tells you about your, how wide or thin or narrow? Do you guys remember that? Yes. All right. Which one of these is set up nicely for us to graph, where I can say, oh, I'm going to move right 3 and up 5, or left 3 and up 5? This one right here, the vertex form. Do you agree? When we have those questions that I told you will come up on the test, this is the one where it's easy to find the maximum or minimum value. This was the one that it's easy to find the y-intercept. Why is this one nice to find the y-intercept? Because you have 0, 0, and your constant at the end is your answer. All right. Now, that was review. What we're going to do today is learn how to take this and rewrite it in this form, which is pretty cool, because if I ask you to graph, in the past, if I've asked you to graph that one up there, you'd have to make a t-chart, and it would take quite a while. You'd make a t-chart, plug it in, get all your values, graph it. It would take a while. Where if I asked you to graph this one, no t-chart needed. Translate right or left, translate up or down, and you are done. Put your phones away, please. You shouldn't even have them out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to force this form to look like this form, so it's easy for us to graph or find the maximum value or minimum value, or to even find the vertex. All right, so number 1. Y equals x squared plus 6x minus 2. Y equals x squared plus 6x minus 2. And I should have wrote what I wanted you to do first, so I'm going to squeeze that right in here, right in vertex form, and find the vertex. Write in vertex form and find the vertex. All right, right now what form is this? Standard form. All right, so this is going to be very similar to yesterday's or Tuesday's lesson. On Tuesday's lesson, instead of y, what number did I have here? 0. Or 2 or -2, but we still had a number here, not y. Do you agree? Okay, so what's the difference? When there is a 0 on the other side, you're going to be solving. And you go through and you do all this, and you square root both sides. Today, we're going to go as far as this, and we're not going to square root both sides. I'm going to repeat that. Why would you square root both sides? Because you are doing what? Solving. Am I solving on this page? No, I'm rewriting. So if I'm going to be rewriting, I'm not going to be square rooting both sides. Yes?
So you can just tell the vertex form by the parentheses, right?
Yes, quantity squared. Not just parentheses, but it has to be quantity squared. All right. Okay, so what was step 1 from yesterday's or Tuesday's lesson? Move over the constant. Step 2? plus blank on each side. Step 3, factor. Are we going to do step 4 or 5 on this one? No, because we said no square root and no solve. All right, step 1, move over the constant. What am I going to add to both sides? 2. Now, earlier it was like 0 plus 2 or 5 plus 2. In this case, are y and 2 like terms? For example, can I write that as 2y? No, the best I could do is what? Y plus, bless you, y plus 2 equals x squared plus 6x. Okay, why do I add over the 2? Because I want to complete the square, and I can't complete the square with this guy in the way. So we just simply put him over to the other side. All right, anyone have any questions on step 1 on moving over the constant? And a reminder, everyone's listening, that these are not like terms. So the best I can do is simply write it as y plus 2. All right, or 2 plus y. What would I do to both sides? What was step 2? Plus blanks. Good job. We plus blanks on each side. Why? Because it's an equation. We still have an equation. We're not solving, but it still is an equation. And we need to keep it balanced. All right, I'm going to let you figure out that number on your own. Remember what you do. You take the middle, the b, and you cut it in half and square it. What do we get once we square it? 9. Good job. 9 on both sides. All right. Step 3, factor. I'm going to clean this side up as I factor. What does this become? Y plus 11, because those two are like terms. And then factor. Is it going to be plus plus or minus minus? Plus plus. Plus plus what? 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, or 3 plus 3 is 6. All right. How do I write it here? X plus 3 quantity squared. All right, we've gone through steps 1, 2, and 3. Remembering step 4 was the square root both sides. And what did I already say? We're not doing that. So stop yourself at this point and do not, as tempting as it is, do not square root both sides. We're just about done. This is what I want it to look like. This is what I'm trying to force it to look like. And right now I have this. What's the next step? Subtract the 11. Good job. Just get it back over. We just put it over there for now because it was in our way. But now that we're done factoring, we can put it back over. Y equals x plus 3 quantity squared minus 11. Look how beautiful that is. Now you could look at it and say, oh, I'm going to translate which direction for the inside. Right 3 or left 3? Left 3. Good job. In this, I'm going to translate left 3 and then translate down 11. And do you agree that would be much easier than making a T-chart? Yes.
Is there ever going to be a number in front of the first?
Yes, there is. We will see that today. I'm glad you asked that. Here, there's A's. What is A in this case? There is a number there. We don't see it. It is A1. It's still there. We don't have to write it. It did ask for the vertex, so there's 2 answers here. Remember, opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. So what would it be?
X minus 3.
Negative 3 and then negative 11. Right? Negative 3, negative 11 for the vertex? Yes or no? All right. This next question I'm not going to do on every problem, and it even asked me up here, but I want to talk about it because it does come up on the test. Does this function have a maximum or a minimum? Think in your head, which direction does this parabola open? Because it's positive 1, which direction? Up. So what is this? A minimum. All right. So I'm going to repeat that. They will ask you, is it a maximum? Not only that, I'm going to tell you what else they're going to ask you. First, they'll say, is this a max or a min? So in your head, you process. This parabola is opening in which direction? Up. Why is it opening up? Because it is positive, right? Because it's positive, it's opening up. And because it's opening up, it has a highest point or a lowest point? Lowest. They're also going to ask you, I'm going to write it there. Do you agree that's the vertex? They're also going to ask you, what's the minimum value? Do you guys remember how to find the minimum value? It's easy when you have a graph. It's always the something value of your vertex. It's always the y value of your vertex. Which makes sense, because if you actually did graph this, I'm going to say this is negative 11 and this is negative 3. If you went left 3 and down 11 and actually graphed it, and I asked you what's the minimum value, could you see that it's negative 3? Yes? It's easy to see when you graph, but I don't want you to have to graph it. So when they ask you this on the test, what's the first thing you process? Is it opening up or down? Up in this case, which means it's a minimum, and the minimum value is the y value of your vertex. Thank you. All right. Number 2. You do not. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You do not. I'm trying to give you shortcuts so you don't. If the graph helps you, if you're visual and you like the graph, then a quick sketch like this will do. Left 3, down 11, opening up, that's the minimum value. And for some, how many for you the graphs help? Like you're visual and you like to see that picture. I'm visual, I like to see pictures. So you would just do a rough sketch. Left 3, down 11, up, and you label negative 3, negative 11. You can see that's your minimum value. For those of you that like the shortcuts, what is it? The y value of your vertex, and it always will be. How many of you are the shortcut people that can do without the graphs and just give me, I could see it there and I'm good. That's fine as well. All right, number 2, f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 19. What's step 1? Subtract the 19. If this confuses you, f of x, I'm not going to change it, but you can change it to what? Y. Is f of x the same as y?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it just because I want you to get used to it. But if you don't like it, you can change it to y. F of x minus 19 equals x squared minus 8x.
We would also switch f of x to the end. So the way you.
The order in which you write it?
Yeah.
Oh, or you mean negative 19 plus f of x. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Put f of x at the end, so that way when we do subtract the 19, we can just put it to the
Other side?
we're used to doing.
Oh, I see what you're asking. And now I understand, because someone in my other class asked the same question, and I wasn't sure why they were asking, but because that's what we're used to. Yes. She's saying, can you put the f of x over here, so when you subtract the 19, we're moving it to the right the way we're used to? Yes. Yes, you can. All right. What do we put on each side? Plus, what do I call them? Plus blanks. Blank and blank. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds head start to fill in the blank and then factor and simplify this side. Fill in the blanks and then factor and simplify the left side. Yes. Hurry, please. Okay, so what's the blank?
4, 6.
You're a step ahead of me. You're on the factoring step. The blank is what?
16.
16. All right, what's negative 19 plus 16?
3.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
There's more negatives, so negative 3. And then double bubble, x into x, plus plus, I know it's the same, plus plus or minus minus? And it's minus minus, and this is the answer you gave me earlier. Minus minus what? 4. So x minus 4 quantity squared. Now, as tempting as it is, do I square root both sides? How do we know we're not square rooting both sides? Because did it ask us to, yes. If it's a negative? No, we square root both sides when it says to do what? Starts with an S. Solve. If it's asking us to solve, we're going to be square rooting both sides. Did this ask us to solve or rewrite?
Rewrite.
If we're rewriting in vertex form, we're not going to square root both sides. So what is the last step? Add. Did you say square root? Add 3 to get it in our vertex form. F of x equals x minus 4 quantity squared plus 3. And there's our beautiful vertex form. I'm going to ask the question I've already told you guys earlier. When it comes to graphing, why is this form nicer to work with? Because it tells you where the vertex is, and what else did I hear over here? It gives you what the what? What you need to shift. So this would translate which direction? Right 4 and up 3. And the positive one tells me it's opening up or down? Up. So it would have a minimum. All right. Let's see.
Is this your recycling?
No, that's my test box. The recycling's in the back. All right. What is the vertex? Opposite of inside, outside stays the same. What do we get? 4, positive 4, positive 3. Now I already kind of put it on the paper. Would it have a maximum or a minimum? What would the minimum value be? 3. All right. Before I give you the one that has a constant in the front that we have to worry about, that was the question you had a second ago, I'm going to give you one more to try on your own. Okay? Any questions on 1 or 2 before you try one on your own? Number 3. G of x equals x squared minus 12x minus 8. All right, I'm going to have you guys do that one on your own. Remember, we do the steps 1, 2, 3.
There's still y, right?
Yes, at g of x, f of x, h of x, you can replace them if you want with what letter? Y, or leave it, which is what I'm going to do. All right, I should see everybody working. You're not just sitting there. If you are stuck, quietly talk to the person next to you and see if they can guide you. Or just kind of peek over and see if you guys are in the same spot. If you have something different, talk to each other.
So now you do the double loop. So you do the 12. So you do the 12. You divide by 3 in the square.
All right, did anybody get at least this far with the plus blanks on each side after you moved over the 8? Yes? Yes. Good. So you would divide, he said divide the negative 12 by 2. Keep going. Uh-huh. And then what? And then you square that. Good. And what do you get? 36. And that's the number that goes in the blanks, correct? All right. Do you guys agree with him? Yes? All right. Jeremiah, give me what you did next. Good job. Or what you would do next if you didn't get this far on your own. not equal, sorry, plus, can anybody tell me what 36 plus 8 is? 44. All right, what would you do on this side? Or what should you do on this side?
Double bubble.
Oh, I was calling on someone, but he's giving you the hint. Double bubble. Okay, so Jeremiah, continue. What does it double bubble to?
X minus 6.
And x minus 6?
Yeah.
So x minus 6 quantity squared. Give me the next step, since he gave you the last one.
Square root.
Okay. I could see why you said it, but I want to make sure you're listening. Who can tell me? It's tempting to square root, and I've said that. Why do we not square root both sides?
It's not asking.
Because we're not solving.
We're not solving. All right, so because we're not solving, we're not going to square root. Seth, do you have the next step?
Yes, subtract 44 on both sides.
Subtract 44 on both sides. All right, so I'm glad you said that, only so that we can reiterate. We don't want to square root both sides, as tempting as it is. Why? Because we're writing it in vertex form, not solving. This is your answer. You're done. With this part, we still have the vertex to find.
That's the ease.
The vertex is what?
6 and negative 44.
6 and negative 44. Is it opening up or down? Up, which means it has a maximum or a minimum. And the minimum value is negative 44.
How do you say this work away? You look at the y, right? And negative.
For what part? Oh, for the value, the minimum or maximum value is always the y value of the vertex. It doesn't matter if it's max or min. Can you put on my laptop, please? All right, number 4. This is where it gets a little tricky, so I really want to make sure you guys are paying attention. I'm going to put stars by this one because this is one that kids tend to miss on a test. H of x equals 2x squared plus 12x plus 23. Okay. Is this very similar to the last 3 problems we just did? Yes? There's an x squared, an x, and a constant. There's an h of x or function of x on the other side. What's different? The 2. Have the leading coefficient. Have we had a leading coefficient other than 1? Look at your last 3 problems. 3 is right here. This is a 1. Look at your numbers 1 and 2. Were they also 1?
Yes.
Yes? All right. So how does the 2 change things? And it does change things. Just a smidge, but you want to be making sure you're paying attention because it's going to get hard if you're not.
Use the don't you have to like X factor or not X factor?
Oh, the double bubble that we've learned for this?
The double.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I see another hand up over here. Never mind. Okay, we are going to double bubble, but when we double bubble, we don't want the 2 there. So he's saying, can we do not the x factor, but we list the factors of 2 and the factors of 23? That's what you were suggesting, right? But remember, when I factor, I need them to be exactly the same, and it's not going to happen here. Okay, and not only that, what did I just say? When I factor, do I want a 2 there? No, I cannot have it. When it's in vertex form, look at all of these. It's just x. Do you see that? That's what he was saying. Can we do guess and check? And we can't because I need the leading coefficient to eventually be 1. Because is there a 2 there? No. Is there? Well, look in the vertex form. The leading coefficient, not that one there, but on the x, what do you see? Nothing but a 1. So that means when I factor, I need it to eventually become a 1. And we're going to talk about how to do that. All right. So step 1 is the same, which is nice for us. So what do we subtract from both sides?
23.
Minus 23. Thank you. Gone. And so that gives us h of x h of x minus.
23.
And again, Gabby asked earlier, can you move it to the other side? So you're moving to the right like you're used to. That's perfectly fine. Okay. 2x squared plus 12x, and do not put a plus blank because we're not ready for it. Oh, what Gabby had said?
No, you said don't do a plus blank.
Oh, a plus blank. Like kids will do this, and I'm going to erase it, so don't write it. Plus blank and plus blank. Do not write it because we're not ready to cut in half and squared. I'm going to repeat that. Kids will say, oh, 12 cut in half is 6, and 6 squared is 36. Do not do that. You're moving too fast. We don't do that yet because what's still there that I said we don't want? The 2. We have to adjust that first. Now, kids ask, can you divide it? You cannot, because this is not a number, it's a y. You don't want to divide it. All right. So what you do is you factor it out. You factor out not a GCF because you do not want to take out the x's. You need to leave the x's there. You factor out just the leading coefficient. And what's my leading coefficient? 2. X squared plus, okay, before I go further, do you agree that 2 times x squared is 2x squared? 2 times what is 12x? 6x. And now I'm ready to put my plus blank. I'm going to repeat that. Okay, so what was done? We all agreed we could not have a number in front of the x squared. So I said factor it out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to factor just the 2, no x's. We need our x squared and our x in there so we can complete the square. So are we taking out a GCF? No, we're just factoring out, what is this called? The leading coefficient. You pull out the leading coefficient, and that leaves you with x squared plus 6x. Do you agree? Because 2 times x squared is 2x squared, and 2 times 6x is 12x. Yes or no?
Yes.
All right, so next part. Now we're going to do our plus blanks. Now you're going to cut this in half and square. What do you get? 3 and 3 squared is 9. Now, if you're working ahead of me, please don't go too fast because it's going to change a little bit. Where did I mess up?
There's another number.
Okay, there's another blank on the other side. Do you guys agree? I heard a few of you say that. Because it's an equal, should I have a plus blank on the other side? Again, don't work too far ahead, especially if you're working in pen. It's not going to be a 9 on the other side. Yes? Is it going, say it louder? Is this going to be a 6? Can you tell me why? Because because you're thinking, because of this here. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right, you're close. It is not going to be a 9. I will tell you that. It is not going to be a 9. Now think about it. Did we always put the same numbers on both sides? Yep, but there was no number out here. Do you see that? So when you have a number sitting on the outside, it changes things. What's 2 times 9? So what number goes on the other side? 18. All right, now I know it's confusing, but you really want to make sure you're paying attention. I'm going to go through this one more time. On these two, on this problem it was plus 9 and plus 9 because there was no number in the front. Here, plus 16 plus 16, again because there was no what in the front? No coefficient other than 1. All right, even on number 3, you can see the plus 36 plus 36. Now I need a volunteer telling me why on this one is it not plus 9 plus 9. I know I only explained it once. Can anybody tell us? Right here. The coefficient on the outside. Good job. And can you tell me what we do with the coefficient on the outside? You. What do we do? You distribute it. 2 times 9 is 18. Do you guys agree? Yes? All right. We're going to try another one like this. We're going to continue. Kaden, can you give me the next step, like what we do right here? What is this called right here? Double bubble. All right. Ignore the 2. And so when you guys are saying guess and check, yes, we're still doing the guess and check, but not the harder one. It's still the easy one. Plus plus or minus minus? Plus 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 what? 3 and 3. All right, so I have h of x minus, what does that become? 5. Minus 5 equals, don't forget your 2 there, x plus 3 quantity squared. And what's the last step? Add the 5 over. Gone. H of x equals, don't forget the 2, quantity x plus 3 squared plus 5. That is your answer in vertex form. We haven't found the vertex, but that's your answer in vertex form. Does that make sense? All right. What is the vertex? Remember, opposite, same.
Minus 3.
Negative 3, comma 5.
It's a math.
And is it opening up or down? It's positive 2, so it's opening up, max or min? Min, and the minimum value is? 5. Got it? All right. Last one you're going to try on your own. No. K of x. Does that 2 do anything as far as your maximum or minimum? What does it do to the parabola? I told you guys earlier. Do you remember what it does? Wide or thin. And the 2 specifically makes it, I heard somebody say it, it makes it thin. The bigger the number, it's opposite of what you think. The bigger the number, the thinner it is. All right. K of x equals 3x squared minus 18x plus 16. Go ahead and do that one now. Yes. And if you are stuck, look at number 4. The steps are pretty much the same, just different numbers. So go ahead and try it. All right. Cole, can you give me the first step?
Subtract 16.
You've been very quiet today.
I have been really tired lately.
Does that mean you've been sleeping during those?
Very little.
Why Boy McGee has lost his glee.
All right. K of x minus 16 equals 3x squared minus 18x. Cole, I'm going to have you continue.
So, you find, negative 18 divided by 2.
Negative 18 divided by 2, and then
And then, square it.
square it. Okay, I can see why you're saying that because we've been doing that over and over, but we changed it up just a little bit on number 4 if you didn't catch it. Can anybody help him with the next step? Or can anybody tell, is that right? Should we divide and square? Okay, yes.
Supposed to do K, how do you say that?
K of x.
Yeah, K of x minus 16 equals 3, parentheses, x squared minus 9x.
Perfect. All right, Cole, did you hear that?
Kind of.
Okay, so why is this problem different? Because the leading coefficient is no longer 1. Right, now that it's going to be 2 or 3 or 4, you take that leading coefficient out first before you cut in half and squared. So he said you take the 3 out and you have x squared minus 9x, and then now you put your plus blanks on each side. So now cut in half and squared. Can you tell me what that gives you? Cut this in half and square it.
4.5.
Do we end up with, oh, it is. We talked about fractions. Do you guys remember that? I don't like this one. This one actually I got off of homework. I'm trying to think of, are you guys okay if we just change it so it doesn't, we could do fractions. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't want to give you fractions. Did you do it already? Okay, what did you?
I got one.
It would be 81 over 4 and then times 3. I really don't want to do that to you guys. All right, I'm going to change it.
3 divided by 18 is 6, not 9.
Thank you. was like, why would I give this one to you guys? And I didn't even catch it, didn't even think about it.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
And I was just going with it and didn't check it. And why didn't anybody else say anything before?
I was testing.
You were testing me to see if I would figure it out. All right, this is what I would give you. All right, back to Cole. Cut in half and squared.
So you do 3 times 3 is 9.
9, and maybe that's where you got the 9 from. Okay, so let's continue. K of x. What does this give me here?
Wait,
7.
I thought you said.
Oh, good
Yeah.
job, good job. Okay, do you see why they're saying wait, wait? No. Why? Why would they be saying wait, wait? What? Go ahead.
Because 3 is the outside coefficient, so you have to.
Oh,
Good.
right, sorry.
No, it's okay. So what should it be on this side? I'll put a little thing right there. What should it be on that side? 27. All right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now finish it off. K of x plus what? 11 equals 3. I'm going to double bubble up here. Can you double bubble it for me? K and K. What is it double bubble to? Minus minus or plus plus? This right here tells it's going to be minus minus. They have to be the same. When you're completing the square.
Right, 'cause they multiply.
Right.
Positive.
Yes. So x minus minus 3. Yes?
Yep.
All right. And the last step, class, what do we do with that plus 11?
Put it in the front.
Subtract it to the end over here. Gone. And that gives me the final answer, but we have 2 of them. K of x equals, don't forget your 3, and then x minus 3 squared minus 11. Box it in, and I'm going to call on, who do I want to call on? Hannah. What's the vertex?
3
Perfect. 3, negative 11. Can you tell us how you got 3, negative 11?
I did the opposite of the 3 inside of the parentheses.
Uh-huh.
And negative 11 at the end.
Good. She says she took the opposite of the inside, made that positive 3, and the negative 11 stayed the same. Got it? Maximum, is it opening up or down? Up, because it's positive. Max or min? Min, what's the minimum value? Negative 11. All right, questions? Yes. Am I collecting what?